Hello, ladies. Did I hear some of you go, because you love the sound of the English accent, is that right? If you're British, you want to sound like a North American, and if you're North American, you often want to sound British. But I hope that's not the only thing you take away from this talk today. So I couldn't hear Georgia backstage, but I just want to say it's a pleasure to be with you today. I'm very thankful for this opportunity. And I'm also so very privileged to be speaking from God's Word on something that just seems so enormous. It's a bit like fitting the sun into a grain of sand when you talk about the gospel, complementarity, and marriage. So I will endeavor to do my best. So, by way of introduction, yes, my name is Amanda Peacock. As you can tell, I'm not a North American. I was born and raised in the UK and lived there until I was 40 years old when I moved with my husband and children to Canada. I've been married to my husband, Gavin, this September for 30 years. And he's over there, thank you, by the grace of God. My husband is International Director for Outreach for CBMW, that's the Council on Biblical Manhood and Womanhood, and he's in that end booth there, so please go along and say hello to him later. Anyway, so we've been married 30 years this September, and we have 2 children, Jake, who is 25, and he's married to Krista, and Ava, who is 22, and she is married to Austin. Now, my husband, Gavin, is one of the pastors at our church in Calgary. It's called Calvary Grace Church. People get confused because it's in Calgary as well. But he's one of the pastors there, and up until last year, I was co-lead in the women's ministry. My husband, Gavin, prior to his ministry call, was a professional soccer player for 18 years in the United Kingdom. Do we have any soccer fans? You'll have to look back on the internet, but he has hair, okay? He has hair back in the day, and you'll see that it was a few years ago now. I think he's been retired something like, I want to say 20 years, 15, 20 years. My math is not very good. So then, after he retired from playing professional soccer, he then began his second career as a commentator for the BBC on various radio and TV programs, and he did this for 5 years. Now, we married in 1989, and it was the era, I don't know if you remember, of the big poofy wedding dresses, the big shoulder pads, and even bigger hair. And at that time, when we married, we'd only been Christians for about 18 months. Christians for only 18 months. Neither of us grew up in Christian homes, and my parents divorced when I was 13 years old. So we didn't have a great understanding of the monumental significance of marriage. All we knew was that we loved God and that we loved one another.